Bernaf swiftly tells his mistress to get out of here because he can no longer guarantee her safety at this rate. And from this point onward, he vows to give it his all, warning her that she might get caught in the collateral damage. Ghislaine is also fired up for this fight because he hasn't faced such an entertaining opponent in a long time. Meanwhile, Amelia is running down the corridor with her cat for her life. She looks visibly distressed because how dare our boy cause her such humiliation. She has no clue who could be the idiot who leaked information about the merchant guild to Ghislaine. There's no way he would know about it in such detail, at least not without help. The rumors about him about slaying orcs, protecting his younger sister from assassins, and even defeating the heir of Logius, judging by that rascal's past, she had thought it must have been either luck or exaggerated information. But now she is forced to believe that he might really have improved. She then notices that all of the guards are missing, which annoys her further. But she soon finds all the soldiers scattered on the ground, and the one who took them down is none other than Belinda. Amelia is startled to see Perdium's maid, and before she can react further, Belinda places a dagger right over her throat. That's when Belinda notices the spider hanging over her face. She grabs the little critter in her hands and expresses her dislike about this shit. Belinda then reminds this bastard of a lady that she remembers the day of the engagement ceremony, where she eavesdropped on the conversation between Count Rayfold and the Lord of Perdium. She apparently overheard that all of Amelia's siblings picked on her for having creepy spiders around her. So she raised the spiders herself and took her revenge. Belinda isn't sure if that action was perhaps an attempt to overcome trauma or a display of self-assertion. Belinda then apologizes if this might come off as harsh, but she reminds Amelia that it doesn't suit her. With that, she crushes the spider under her feet. After crushing the spider brutally, Belinda requests that this bitch cooperate with her a little. But before we can learn what kind of request Belinda wants to make, we're back to the fight between the boys, and it looks like the knight has started to exude some serious ominous power already. The air has gotten rough, and the overwhelming amount of mana is really making our boy quite concerned. The knight is really pissed that our boy isn't taking him seriously and had called him an entertaining opponent previously, because that sounds almost like something a lowly mercenary would say. He despises the very idea that someone as lowly and non-serious as our boy dares to call himself a noble and tries to stand on equal status as Amelia. Well, of course, our boy is a noble, and he doesn't think this is something a mere escort knight like himself should say. Bernaf takes his first step, and they start clashing their swords. He is absolutely livid because he thinks Ghislaine is mocking the nobility. He continues to throw one blow after another. My guy is amazed that this bastard is moving forward with such strength and fierceness. But Ghislaine has also had enough. He responds with equally aggressive swordsmanship. This time the knight is definitely not messing around. With a single swing, he pushes our boy backwards, then quickly follows up with another blow to land a critical hit. The time freezes as the final blow from that bastard is deployed, and blood splatters as the blade grazes the shoulder of our boy. Bernaf, on the other hand, is absolutely boggled out of his mind that this bastard braced himself for the injury and used his shoulder to push away the blade. Our boy then quickly retaliates, pushing the absurd knight backward a little. But Bernaf quickly delivers a kick to our boy while mocking him, saying this is the difference between him and a brat who wields his blade for entertainment. The kick sends Ghislaine flying backwards, but it still isn't enough to take him down. He still finds this whole situation quite entertaining. With overwhelming speed, range, and consecutive attacks, the knight controls the flow of the fight. Any attempt to counter him in close quarters through grappling is instantly shut down. In a locked clash, it seems like their swords are bound together, making the knight believe they can't be separated. With Ghislaine's current mana, he can't counter the knight's strength, but he's playing a long game, knowing that the knight has still yet to see the ace our boy has up his sleeve, which is Ghislaine's unique mana cultivation technique. In an instant, Ghislaine unleashes his third core and shifts the balance of the fight. One powerful strike is enough to knock the sword out of the knight's hand, leaving him bewildered. The only thing in Bernaf's mind is how this guy wields such explosive mana during combat. With Bernaf now defenseless, Ghislaine places his sword over the knight's head, freezing him completely. At that moment, Belinda drags Amelia into the scene as well. The once cocky lady is literally in tears, and quickly agrees to give the 10,000 gold, urging them to simply vanish from her sight afterward. While Ghislaine is glad to have gotten what he came for, he's also irritated that it had to come to this. It would have been so much easier if she had just agreed earlier. Anyhow, he withdraws his sword and walks toward Amelia to deliver some bad news. The fee just went up to 20,000 gold. In the aftermath, Amelia's entire palace is in shambles. She's throwing stuff around out of frustration. Not only did her knight lose, but now she has to fork over 20,000 gold. The knight tries to apologize, admitting that Ghislaine turned out to be a much stronger individual than the rumors suggested. He owns up to his mistake, saying it's his fault for not assessing him properly beforehand. Ghislaine had emitted mana surpassing that of an advanced level knight. Amelia is clearly not thrilled to hear this. When Bernaf asks if she wants to report this to the Delphine Duchy, she slaps him across the face. She grabs him by the collar, furious because what he says isn't practical. Seems like she is terrified of Duke Delphine, because if he finds out about today's incident, she knows she's done for. The reason she is secretly allied with Duke Delphine without her father's knowledge is because of a covert agreement she had with Duke. He promises to support her rebellion, and she is supposed to help him by bringing down Perdium. If this alliance is exposed, it's certain her siblings will kill her. If our boy knows about the secret of the Merchant Guild, then Amelia is sure he might also know about her agreement with the Duke as well. She knows he has to be stopped, so she must do whatever it takes to take down that bastard. The knight acknowledges this. She then asks him how Ghislaine's body is, to which he shares that he managed to inflict light injuries on many parts of his body, with a heavy one on his shoulder. Not only that, but because Ghislaine spent an explosive amount of mana, he won't be in the best condition for some time. Since they are thinking of getting rid of him without leaving any trace, they cannot use knights from their land. Amelia had already figured that much, which is why she had some extra knights trained for these kinds of situations. It seems even Bernaf doesn't know about these knights, so she reminds him about the wild cats. This group apparently consists of war orphans, those without kings, and those without status. Only the most talented, natural-born specialists are among them, known as the wildcat traffickers. She tells her knight to go to the location she marks on the map and assemble a dozen or so of them, only those who are proficient with mana. The choice of location for troop deployment makes sense to Bernaf. You see, that ravine is the only narrow path from the Rayfold territory to Perdium. It's an ideal place to quietly handle things since the area is remote and the terrain is tight. Bernaf decides to get started on the plan right away. This time, Amelia is absolutely determined to make our boy pay for the humiliation he has caused her. Meanwhile, Ghislaine has already left Amelia's palace. Inside his carriage, he carefully wraps his injured body with bandages. We also see Old Man Fergus and Belinda are accompanying him. They ask if he's all right, and he assures them there's nothing to worry about. The cuts aren't too deep, and it's not that bad considering he had pushed himself to its best. Ghislaine is just relieved that the 20,000 gold he received from Amelia is enough to cover the base funds needed to rebuild their territory. That amount of money is like saving a few years' worth of effort. Of course, it would have been great if he could have killed Amelia too, but doing so would have made war unavoidable. He can't risk the safety of his territory just because of a momentary whim. Perdium is already struggling to deal with the barbarians, so it's wiser to withdraw quietly without stirring up more trouble. The fact that he knows the secret of the Arctium Merchant Guild is already enough to put a burden on Amelia. Belinda watches him with concerned eyes and asks if everything is going according to his plan. She remembers that he had instructed her to subdue the guards once she heard fighting noises inside, and he also told her to take Lady Amelia hostage once she came out of the room. Ghislaine confirms that's exactly what he said. Right at that moment, he feels a sharp pain and coughs up some blood. It's actually the recoil from opening up his third core, though his condition is still much better than last time. Still, it would be troublesome to go through this every time he decides to use his power. He needs to find a way to increase his mana quickly. Belinda quickly grabs his hand, noticing that the flow in his body is completely messed up. She grabs a needle and starts piercing it into the back of his hand with godly speed. Ghislaine finds it surprisingly therapeutic. Once she finishes, he exhales a cloud of smoke from his lungs and feels a sense of relief. He can feel that his tangled mana road has opened up a bit. What's even more mind-blowing is that the method she used on him isn't something you can do without a deep understanding of mana. It's understandable that Belinda can do this, considering it was his mother who brought her into the palace. But the question still remains, who exactly is she? Ghislaine has no clue why such a skilled individual is working as a headmaid in the countryside, but it's good to have as many skilled people as possible in his land. After all, the enemies he's encountered so far are just the beginning. That's when Belinda speaks up, assuring him that she'll help with anything because she trusts him unconditionally. But he better tell her why he took such a huge amount of money from Lady Amelia. Ghislaine states that he needed to spend the money, and since Amelia is the only rich person he knows, he decided to extort her. Both of his subordinates are bewildered to hear this. They find it odd that he literally broke the engagement just for the money. And because of this, he'll be in trouble once Count Rayfold finds out. This makes Ghislaine break into a smile, and he rhetorically asks her if she actually trusts him. Belinda barely contains her annoyance at him asking the same question again, even though she just confirmed it. Since she trusts him, she's sure he'll at least tell her what he plans to do with the money. Ghislaine answers with one word, the forest of beasts. That single sentence leaves her silent and shocked. Our boy, on the other hand, goes on to reveal that he's going to use it to pioneer the forest of beasts. The old man, Fergus, nearly jumps out of his skin at this, and reminds Ghislaine that development has been attempted there ever since his great-grandfather's time, but there hasn't been much progress. Ghislaine reminds the old man of the request he made. The old man quickly understands what Ghislaine is referring to, but hesitates before responding. Eventually he admits that the person Ghislaine asked him to find is indeed at the location he mentioned. However, the old man is not sure if they even visit that person. But Ghislaine has already made up his mind to meet him at any cost. Belinda, however, objects, stating that they need to return home for now. She argues that in his current condition, Ghislaine shouldn't be wandering around. Despite her protests, Ghislaine points out the reality of their situation. He questions whether Amelia would let them leave so easily after everything they've done to her. Knowing her personality, he is certain she will try to kill him to silence him, ensuring her secret about her alliance with Duke Delphine is never revealed. Belinda tries to flex her scrawny muscles, confidently assuring her young master that she can easily take down anyone who comes their way. Not to mention, they also have the old man Fergus as their knight. Though Ghislaine has no doubt that Belinda is a reliable person, he knows that's not her role. What he needs is a vanguard, and they're on their way to meet him. Later, they arrive at this place with just one shack in sight. The carriage driver knocks on the door, but there's no response. It's almost as if the house is abandoned. But Fergus points out that this is the address they're looking for. Finally, someone answers the door. Out comes this guy with a face fully covered in facial hair. He immediately questions the identity of the visitors. While everyone is a bit freaked out by this unusual man, my guy shows no expression at all. Belinda even asks him if this is really the person they've been searching for, because she doesn't think this guy looks like he could fight, let alone survive what's coming tomorrow. But Ghislaine confidently assures her that this is the man they're looking for. The old man stares at the young master and bluntly tells him to stop wasting his time and leave. That's when my guy addresses him by his real title, the ex-captain of the Ratatosk Mercenaries, Gillian. The old man perks up at the mention of his title. When he turns back to look, Ghislaine warmly extends his hand, inviting him to join them. Both the old man and the carriage driver are shocked to hear the mention of the Ratatosk Mercenaries. Here's the thing, the Ratatosk Mercenaries were a legendary group that only master warriors skilled with most weapons could join. Though they no longer exist, their reputation is so strong that knights from even distant lands have heard their name at least once. And the captain of that legendary group is Gillian. That's the man Ghislaine has come all this way to meet. The old man throws his axe with full force, but my guy just tilts his head slightly, and the axe zips past him. Everyone else immediately goes on high alert. They quickly surround their young master and take fighting stances, ready for whatever comes next. But Gillian is all business. He's not here to waste time. He bluntly asks Ghislaine the reason for his visit. Belinda steps in front of our guy, believing this man is a complete nutcase. But Ghislaine keeps it short. He only says one thing, the eternal punishment, and further claims he knows the cure to the incurable illness his daughter is suffering from. Well, that's enough to pique Gillian's interest. Apparently, his daughter's condition causes her high fever, frequent coughing up of blood, and red spots blooming like flower petals on her skin. The sight of her pain, similar to a prisoner enduring punishment, gave this incurable disease its name, eternal punishment. Finally, we see the girl in question. She screams at the top of her lungs in pain, and the mercenary rushes inside the shack to tend to his daughter, Rachel. Ghislaine can see that it's not too late for her. In his previous life, our boy had tried to find Gillian to recruit him, but the man had taken his own life shortly after his daughter passed away. Judging by the state of this house, it's clear that all of Gillian's assets must have been spent on her treatment. Now, all that remains are his weapons. The poor girl cries out, pleading with her father, saying she's in pain and can't bear it anymore. Seeing her suffer, Ghislaine decides to act quickly. He quickly tells Gillian that he's going to start the treatment right away, but Belinda immediately steps in to stop him before he can go any further. She doesn't understand what he thinks he's trying to do, but she knows this isn't something strength alone can solve. This disease is so severe that even priests have failed to cure it, and they called it a punishment from the gods for a reason. She doubts there's anything he can do, but my guy just yanks her hand off his shoulder and makes it clear he can fix her. He reminds Belinda that since she claimed to trust him, she'd better stick to her words. With that, it seems Belinda has no room left to argue. He then hands her a paper listing all the medicinal herbs they'll need and tells her to come back with them.